Right now, all eyes are on the mother city today as it gets up, or gears up rather, for the State of the Nation address by the President tonight. Let's take you live there now, where we find my colleague eNCA anchor Bradan Moyane, who is in Cape Town for us. Bradan, a lot of political parties and politicians obviously also there. I believe there's one that you're speaking to now.
Address. Still very much beautiful hour here, blue skies and blazing hot, as we've said earlier, and we keep on mentioning that because we're wondering how hot it's going to get inside the chamber later this afternoon when the National Assembly gathers, Parliament gathers, being the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces coming together as they do every year in February to hear a report from the President of the Republic. So Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa will take center stage from 7 o'clock tonight as he outlines what government has done since his last State of the Nation address and what are the new things, the new decisions that the government will be implementing. We know, of course, the cabinet had a lekgotla recently, and in that they were strategizing and making decisions about a number of issues that we all are very much aware about the main challenges that the country is facing here. Good afternoon to you, Masigo, and our viewers on DSTV channel 403 as we continue to build up to 7 o'clock. I'm joined now by Dr. Nzimande. He's the Minister of Higher Education. He's already in town, but unlike me, he's a bit underdressed. He's not ready yet to show us his true colors as he'll be walking the red carpet a little bit later on. Mpepeto, good afternoon. Right. Welcome to eNCA.
Yes. Good afternoon. Yes. Well, I will pin my tie if you are not overworking me like now, you know, because I'm running
so you
from
blame
one
the media
caravan.
now.
Yes, I'm blaming the media. Otherwise, I would be nicely in my tie.
No, I'm sure you're going to look the part later
office.
on.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming through. As I was saying now in my intro, there was a recent lekgotla's cabinet. We were waiting to hear what the President will outline. Are you confident that the message tonight that will land on us is that there will be really actionable implementation, that the decisions that have been taken will be acted upon to address this number of challenges that we have? On the one spectrum, we've got energy crisis, and everybody's talking about it. We've got issues of employment, and so on. Are you confident that we'll hear a clear message of implementation?
Yes. Thanks, brother, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners, of course. You know, sitting in cabinet, there is a sense of determination and confidence, because we all understand that the country is facing enormous challenges, and that as ministers, as cabinet, we have to lead from the front, as it were, in those areas which we are assigned. That is why I'm very confident that the message of the President tonight is going to be focusing on actions, on things that needs to be done in order to lift the spirit, you know, of the nation, to actually say that we cannot allow the many challenges that are facing us, load shedding, amongst other things, high youth unemployment, the levels of crime, including gender-based violence, that as a country we cannot really allow ourselves to be defeated by those. We're a very heroic nation and a heroic people that came through huge obstacles in the past, including defeating the criminal apartheid regime. What is important, the message from the President tonight is going to be very clear on the actions and things that needs to be done on his side and on the side of government, but also hopefully, as the President normally does, is to say, what is your role also as South Africans in whatever space that we are located? What role can you play in order to change this country for the better? Because just government must play its leading role, but we cannot be able to turn the country around on our own without working together with our people, but not least the media itself, by the way.
Some people have pointed that there's a trust deficit currently that exists between the people, the ordinary citizens, and yourselves as government because of the track record of what we've seen recently around issues, for example, like state capture and corruption. How would you then encourage people to just go over that trust barrier?
We understand that. But as I'm saying, Bradan, the message of the President today will be talking to the nation and to every South African to say, let's actually play our role. We understand that trust deficit. We've come through a terrible period, the one of state capture, for instance, where resources of the state have just been milled. But the positive side of it, we have a president now who says, I am prepared to implement every line and sentence of the recommendations of the Zondo Commission, as we actually call it. That in itself should actually begin to send a positive message to us as a country. Does he have support within the governing party to do that? He does have support within the governing party. I have no doubt about that. There may be people, and there still are within the governing party, who are not confident about the route that the president is taking. But coming out of the NASREC, the last NASREC conference, the message has been sent loud and clear that actually the African National Congress has got confidence in the president. The president, of course, has got to use that now to be able to rally first the allies of the African National Congress, the SACP and COSATU, but then the rest of the sectors in South African society, women, youth, the elderly, professionals, workers, and so on, to then say, let's actually be able to build together.
Yeah, you must be heartbroken as a Minister of Higher Education when you heard about the killing of yet another woman on campus at the TUT, Tshwane University Technology, and recently you had to deal with the attempted assassination of a Vice-Chancellor of Fort Hare University, and you went down there to try and address that issue. Of course, sadly, his bodyguard was shot and killed in that incident. You mentioned crime. I mean, we have this criminal element that's also overshadowing your sector, where people should be going to learn, to grow and develop, but they end up being killed. You must be heartbroken.
It is indeed very heartbreaking. Condolences once more to the family and relatives of Nontokozo Club. I've sent someone to represent me there at the memorial service because I'm here. It is a huge challenge that we face. We can't deny it. That is why I'm saying to you, the sense in cabinet is that we have to do what we are supposed to do, and we have to be bold, which is what also, by the way, I'm hoping the president is going to come out boldly with some steps and actions that have got to be taken. Now, of course, the sector that I lead is part of society. Gender-based violence, 10% of the incidents are happening in my sector, which is huge. Of course, because it's a sector that has got young men and young women who are studying at universities, and colleges. We are doing all we can. We are working with the security cluster of government to work with this. But much more importantly, Praten, we have now realized even more that it's not enough just to wait for the police to intervene. We need to mainstream safety and security issues in the daily life at campus. Take the Alice campus, which has got more than 11,000 at Fort Hare students. That's a whole community, So if communities have got community policing forums, we need to create similar kind of structures such that we are able to prevent, because that is what is important, to actually prevent crime and criminality in our institutions. In relation to gender-based violence, for instance, I have now decided that I want to launch a huge campaign just to focus on young men to defeat gender-based violence in the tertiary institutions. Because
will the young women in the tertiary institutions today hear from President a reassuring message that says we want to make you safe? Because the president, I think last year he had the second summit, the gender-based violence summit. But we're coming to your sector. Can young women look forward to hearing tonight the president saying your safety matters to us? We will do everything to protect you in our campuses.
Well, Praten, obviously I don't know what exactly the president is going to say, but I have no doubt that he's going to address the issue of gender-based violence, because this is one scourge that actually is facing this country and this nation, and hopefully also to make a call to all South Africans. That's why I'm saying one of the things that we have identified is that we're not going to win this without men, without boys for that matter. We have to start with the boys to actually begin to change their mentalities and ways of thinking about women, about girls, in order to be able to do that. So I am hopeful that the president is going to address this and make a call once more to South Africans to be part of it. On our side, in the post-school education and training sector, for instance, I have a policy framework, national policy framework, for all our institutions to follow it, to fight gender inequality and to fight gender-based violence. And I expect each institution to have its own policy framework and, much more importantly, its own action plan guided by this overarching policy to say, how do we deal with the issue, for instance, of criminality now, generally in our institutions.
Yeah, you said you're going to be launching this campaign against gender-based violence at university. One of the reasons we get to hear from government ministers and other officials is that there's not enough money. Budget. When you launch a good initiative and then somehow it falters, there's not enough money. And just tied to that, you also preach about public-private partnerships. What role would you like to see the private sector play in supporting this effort that you're going to be doing, because your resources are limited?
Yeah. But then you are right, you know, money from the fiscus is not enough. So we have to be creative. The idea of public-private partnership is good. I extend it. Public-private community partnership. It's very important because we mustn't lose the dimension of communities who also are under huge distress in terms of criminality, unemployment, all sorts of violence. So forging creative partnerships also in order to access more resources, say from the private sector, is very important that we do
that. I'm afraid we've run out of time. The reason is your colleagues are giving a briefing currently live about SONA, and we have to take our viewers there. But you've answered the question. The community element is very important.
Yes.
And we'll touch base with you a little bit later. That's Dr. Nzimande, the Higher Education Minister, and summarizing for us some of the key issues from his view about the State of the Nation address.